Well, hey guys, Conceptual Concept 6.9 here in the beautiful Pacific Northwest, and this is a Glock 19 Gen 6. The Gen 6 is new and hot. It's out fresh off the press, and we're going to do a little bit of shooting with it. We're going to see, is it the next best thing? Is it really leagues above a Gen 5 Glock, or is it more of the same from Glock? We'll go shoot it, then we're going to meet back home, talk initial thoughts, and this is definitely not a review because I don't have enough rounds through it, but we'll just get initial impressions on this guy. So I'll see you there. Iced, iced, iced. Oh. Whoo, slipping. Ooh. 246. Ooh, malfunction. All right, guys, we're at my house from the range, and we just put 250 rounds through this Gen 6 Glock 19. How'd it do? Well, the elephant in the room is I had two malfunctions in the first 250 rounds. Both the malfunctions were with a round in the chamber and a full magazine. Probably a lot of friction on that slide, keeping it from reciprocating properly. And I do want to note, before we get into it, I did run this dry. So I took it out of the box, I slapped an optic on it, a light on it, and I went to town. So whatever factory lube they had in, that's what I was shooting it with. But two malfunctions is a lot for 250 rounds, especially considering all my other Glocks I've ever owned. I've owned quite a few. This is a Gen 517. I've shot dry when I first get it just to see, and I haven't had any issues with those. Meanwhile, this guy did. So we're going to take it apart, we're going to clean it, and we're going to take it back to the range at the end of the video, see if that persists. If not, we're just going to keep shooting it until we hit the round count for the next review. I'm not sure if I'm going to do 1,000 or 2,000 rounds on this, but I did want to note the malfunctions were there. So let's go ahead and let's start talking about the gun. Now I'm going to gloss over the differences because there are plenty of other videos that are going to talk about it. We're just going to real briefly describe it here. We've got enhanced slide serrations. They're just cut a little bit differently, almost at a slant. So the top is cut deeper than the bottom, but it does give you a little extra grip. Really nice. They've changed the optic mounting system. I didn't mind the MOS, especially with aftermarket plates. And this one threads right into the slide and uses like a little plastic gasket. A lot of people aren't going to be happy with that. I don't know. We'll see how it holds up over time, but aftermarket's already starting to pick up. That being said, why change it if the aftermarket was already doing it for the MOS? Next up is this little thumb ledge. I don't use thumb ledges, so kind of a moot point for me. They switched back to a single spring and guide rod like the Gen 3s, just for reliability's sake. Some of those dual captured springs were coming apart on high round counts, so the single spring is a little more reliable. They switched the trigger shoe to kind of a modified flat face, if you can see that, but take it or leave it. I don't mind the curved. And next is they made the grip texture a little rough. It's not as rough as a lot of people would like it to be, but as a concealed carry handgun, I do like it because it's definitely got more grip than the Gen 5, but it's not so aggressive that it's going to rub you raw. So benefit there over the M&Ps. The M&Ps, I've seen multiple people who carry those, and they have to wear an undershirt, and that undershirt will be eaten away really fast. And next, they added a beaver tail. I could take it or leave it. The Gen 5s fit me just fine. Never had slide bite, but if slide bite is a problem for you, there's that. And the last thing is they rounded off the grip. So instead of it being shaped more like a 2x4, it is shaped a little more rounded on the front and back strap. And I'm going to be honest, this is anecdotal, but I don't like this change because the Glock, the way it fits my hand, it actually is very pointable. The Gen 5s and 4s and 3s, the way it is. But if you were having trouble with that, that might be a benefit for you as well. But that's the general gist of it. I don't want to go too in depth. Oh, and they undercut the trigger guard, which is nice. You don't get that hot spot down below. So for me, it's like 50-50. I like half of the changes they did. I dislike the other half, but it is a Glock, so it doesn't feel too much different than this. Some of the changes you may like, some of them you might not. You might think they're all bangers. I don't know, but just for me, it's like 50-50. Anyways, let's hit the range. Let's go ahead and see if that problem persists or if it goes away, and then we'll talk about how it shoots afterwards. All right, so we're back. We've got a full magazine here. We've got a round in the chamber. I have lubed and cleaned this. Let's see if we have more malfunctions. Nope, seems to be good. Let's switch to another full magazine. Yep, seems to be fixed for the most part. Yeah, seems to be doing well now. So I did need to clean and lube it. It was dry. Never had to do that for a Glock before, but we seem to be good. We're gonna shoot another couple hundred rounds today. Then we're gonna end off doing the exact same test, see if once it gets gunked up and the oil dries out, if it continues with that issue. If not, it might have been a break-in period issue, but we'll see. Let's go ahead and shoot some more. Definitely dipping this gun down a little bit. I'm having to adjust my grip just a little bit from like the Gen 5s. Once I do, it does pretty decent. Yeah, shooting pretty well. One more shot. Let's go for the steel. Yeah, actually cleaned up pretty well. So we'll see how it does over the next couple hundred rounds. Now let's do the 50 round FBI qualification. See how we do. All right, so this one will be interesting because I'm going to be conducting a from jacket pocket reload, but let's go ahead and give it a shot. Oh! Whew. All right, last but not least. Alright guys, so we just shot the FBI qual with the Glock 19 Gen 6. Let's see how we did. I put about 400 rounds through it so far, and overall, I'm pretty happy with it, especially considering I'm not shooting this as well as I do my carry gun. So let's start with the alphas. I got 38. I actually hit 39, but I forgot the magazine on one of the drills, so I had to redo it. So I took out the alpha instead of giving myself the best score possible. And on the C-zones, we got 9. That leaves 3 mics total, 47 hits and 3 mics because anything in the Delta is a mic on here. So I got a score of 94, which is passing. All right, so we just shot the FBI qual just to see if I could pass it with this. I did, which is pretty cool, especially considering, honestly, I'm not shooting this as well as my carry gun. I would hope not. But now we're gonna see if that malfunction rears its ugly head again, since the cleaning, and we have a couple more 100 more rounds through it. So I do have a round in the chamber. We're gonna go ahead and slap in a full mag. Let's see what it does. Good so far. Let's swap mags. One more. And then I want to top off again and see if I have more issues. Yeah, it seems to be shooting fine now. Let's shoot the rest of these rounds, and that will be 250 more. Yeah, seems to shoot just fine now. Just needed a little lube, or it needed a break-in, I'm not sure. But those initial 250 rounds I was not incredibly impressed with. So now that I have some more time behind the gun, what do I think? I think it definitely recoils more than my PX4, but it does return very fast. So I'm digging that. It does feel like it recoils a lot less than my buddy's Gen 3 19, which is huge improvement over that. However, I haven't done a Gen 5 19 in forever, so I really don't have a frame of reference for how this has improved compared to the last model. The only reference I have is shooting a Gen 5 45, I used to carry one of those all the time, and my Gen 5 17, which I definitely feel I shoot a little better than this, but that's a little like comparing apples to oranges. Another thing, just my hand size and the way I like to grip pistols is I don't really like that they rounded this off. That is throwing me off. I'm finding I'm gripping the way the web of my hand naturally goes. On all my other pistols, I'm gripping off to the side. So it feels like my presentation is always a little to the left and I have to correct it, which again, dry fire problem, but compared to the other guns I have, this just feels a little less natural. Even compared to the Gen 5 guns, which have 2x4 grips. Those point really well for me compared to this. Probably different for most people, just my hand size, the way I grip pistols, seems to work a little better like that. But all in all, I think this is pretty neat. Now that I've shot it a little bit, am I hesitant to recommend one? No. Most of the people I shoot with or talk with have had zero issues with theirs. So whether there was a little burr that needed to be cleaned out, or something was a little off with my gun, or it's just me being lazy because my gun was not oiled to start with, past factory lube. That's just what it is. So I do plan to keep this gun. I actually like it quite a bit. It's not going to replace my carry gun, but it is a pretty neat pistol. It's a Glock, feels like a Glock, shoots like a Glock. It shot well enough to pass the FBI qual. Really, I would have liked to see a 100-point score. That's what I get with my carry gun, and about half the time. But the fact that I was able to get a 94 point and borderline half of the time on that says enough. That being said, the FBI qual is kind of a joke. It's, if you're even medium okay like me at shooting, you can pass it pretty easy. So anyways, guys, get a Glock, don't get a Glock, I don't care. This is just the newest iteration of the same pistol. And don't forget, go outside, touch grass, eat ass, all right?